Welcome back to SaharaTV. My name is Rudolf Okonkwo. This is a continuation of this historic day, the coverage of the inauguration of President Muhammadu Buhari as President of Nigeria. And we have now a panel with me here in the studio of senior citizens who can give us the historical perspective of what happened today. On my immediate left is our own Dr. Wumi Akintide. Dr. Wumi, welcome to SaharaTV.
Thank you, Rudolf.
Okay, next to Wumi is our special guest, Mr. Olatubosun Adedipe.
Thank you.
Welcome to SaharaTV. So let me start with you, Wumi. How do you see today's event?
I think it's a great event. I mean, I couldn't be more proud as I saw the two presidents, the incoming and the outgoing, come face to face, and with all the dignitaries all over the world and celebrities there. And it was a very smooth transition. And I was expecting the worst, but we got the best. And we thank God for that. It's a great feeling that you have fought for something for over 55 years, since October 1960, since we got independence. There has been a wish for the opposition to be able to come to power at some point. But we always find that it's the same cabal that has been ruling all the time. But for once in our history, today was a milestone because we have an opposition party taking over power in Nigeria. I thank God that I never thought I would live to see today. And I thank God that I was there. I wasn't there physically, but I watched everything from the comfort of my bedroom on television, thanks to the power of technology.
Yeah. Mr. Adedipe, everybody they're saying that this is something they didn't think they would see in their lifetime. How significant is it to you?
It's the same. You already captured us as senior citizens. So we have seen a few things more than the younger generation. It makes me so happy. That's why I came from New Jersey to stay in his house, because I don't have the technology that he has. So that we woke up at 3 o'clock to watch it's awesome. It's like when Obama became the president of America. That's how it is to most of us. I was talking to, before we came on the studio, I was talking to one of your staff, how it used to be and what it is now. We are very happy. We thank God. This thing cannot be done without the handwork of God. God make it happen.
Now, Wumi, let me come back to you. So now there is a shift in power. Buhari is there instead of Jonathan. What do you now expect to see happen? What are the possible things that could happen in terms of the transformation of Nigeria?
Put bluntly, what I expect to see is change. Because Nigeria thought they voted for change. And in the last election, on March 28th and on April 11th. So what I'm watching out to see right now is that manifestation of change. And the new president had laid out a few things that he wanted to do that appears to be very important to his heart. He was talking about all this insecurity in the nation, the feeling of insecurity. And he was talking about the possibility of creating jobs and jobs and jobs. And in fact, he had a particular line for the labor union, which was very spectacular. I think Concision mentioned that for once in an inaugural speech, a new president was able to reckon and mention the Labor Congress in particular. And then finally, he also talked about this issue of corruption, to fight corruption and wrestle corruption down to the ground. Fight corruption to the gates of hell if needed. And I think I also heard him talk very briefly about power outages in Nigeria, electricity, which I think he touched on most of the basics. There is only but so much you can do within a 45-minute speech. But I think on balance, I think he did enough.
Now, Mr. Adedipe, what do you think about the speech? What is your take?
It's excellent. Like Dr. Akindide said, he touched on the basis and he gave us the synopsis or the outline of what he's going to do in 4 years. Judging through what he did in the 80s, that is the reason, that is the confidence that Nigerians have, and they voted him in with over 2 million votes over Jonathan. So we are very, very, we trust him. Every Nigerian, we know that he's going to deliver. And we Nigerians should continue to pray for him to help him do this job. He can't do it without the help of God. He won the election with the help of God. He will do the job adequately, appropriately, with the help of God.
Now,
talking about God, I appreciate that. God is involved in this. God uses people to achieve his goal. I pray that God will continue to use to provide the people, because God does everything, but God doesn't come down from his big throne. He uses people. Yeah. And many of the people he uses to do this, in fact, you, Rudolf Okonkwo, you are part of the people that God used through Sahara. Atahir Jega was one of them. There were so many people that people don't even reckon with, but God used them for a purpose. And that's why we're able to achieve what we did. I think it was a great achievement.
He talked in the speech that Nigeria has a window of opportunity to fulfill our long-standing potential. We keep hearing about this potential. You've watched Nigeria over several years. What are these potentials, and why is it that we've not been able to utilize the potentials of Nigeria?
Well, the reason we slipped from what it should be, from what it is now. The slipping started from immediately after we got independence. You see, why we did not get to our potentials is corruption. And the corruption has pervaded all the strata of Nigerian life. Education, now people get degree with bribing the professor. If you're a woman, you use your body to get degree. These are the problems. And I was telling a university graduate today can't speak good English. Whereas when I was in Form 2, my English was better than a graduate of today. So I'm not knocking them out. I'm not knocking, but this is the reason why it's corruption. Corruption is in everything that we do in Nigeria. And that's the problem.
Now you talk about potential. Nigeria is a great country.
Yes.
Why? Good weather, good climate. We don't have all this severe winter, so that at one time it's so cold and at another time it's so hot. We have a weather that is normal enough that one can feel comfortable. So we don't face the same challenges like they face in other countries, like I mean, some of the temperate countries. Okay. Manpower. Even in the north, first of all, we used to think of the south as the area where they have the manpower. The southeast, the southwest, and with all the education. But now, even in the north, I think education has permeated the north. Because you see, I watched some of the northerners speak, and I marvel. There were two of them that I particularly pay attention to. Rufai, the former minister of Federal Territory, and the new Emma of Kano. Not to talk about Jerry Ghana and Yadudu, and so many of them. Balarabe Musa, later Abubakar Rimi. You find those people who says that the north is inferior to the south. Not anymore. So we have great potential. And apart from that, what of the issue of mineral resources? We have them in abundance. As a matter of fact, I was at one time the pioneer director of DFRI in Ondo State. In Agbabu, it's a city in Ondo State. They had so much bitumen. The bitumen was oozing out of the ground. Nobody had to actually dig to get to it. It was that much. You go to Igbakoda, you have the white sand. Everywhere, quite apart from the oil that we are talking about, we have so many resources. So when you are talking about potential, I think you are touching on a raw nerve. We have all the potential for greatness. But the issue is that we are not able to get there due to the slippage that Mr. Adedipe talked about. But if we have a good leader who can harness all of those things, and if we are able to fight some of the terrible things that is holding us down, like corruption, massive, pervasive corruption in society, I think Nigeria is going to go somewhere.
Now, he made several references to the Constitution, and we know that the Constitution is at the core of whether Nigeria survives or works or not. And this is one particular one I want to quote. He said, as far as the Constitution allows me, I will try to ensure that there is responsible and accountable governance at all levels of government in the country. We know that Constitution that we have now is not perfect, and in the past, the former President, Goodluck Jonathan, used to say that the Constitution will not allow him to do certain things. Do you think that Buhari will get to the point where he will see that the Constitution is the only thing stopping him from doing what he will want to do? And
well, in relation to the Constitution, he has started expunging what it does not state in the Constitution. For example, in the during the Jonathan era, every governor will bring ministerial positions.
Nominees.
Nominees. He said that is not in the Constitution. So he has started very well. We just pray that he continue to do well. If there's any constraint of anything that he cannot do because of the Constitution, if he knows that he wants to do it, he has to go to the Assembly, and they will give him the amendment. The American Constitution has been amended several times. Let us do the same. There is no constitution that is perfect. When the American Constitution was written in 1779, it was not as big as it is today. So that is, we amend Constitution to suit our purpose.
Yeah. Wumi, why I'm saying this is that we read in the news that he wanted to trim down the number of ministers.
Yes.
But the Constitution was specific that you have to have at least one minister from each state. So you can't run away from having up to 36 ministers.
Yes.
Even though you want to reduce it.
All right.
So that's why I'm bringing up the issue of the Constitution,
yes,
and the fact that in the past we know that Jonathan tried, he couldn't amend the Constitution.
Right. And okay, the president told us in his inaugural
Yes.
speech that he was going to follow the Constitution rigidly, so to speak. And if he's going to do that, the point you have just brought out, that the Constitution allows at least one minister per state, and we have 36 states. So we're talking of a minimum of 36. But talking about the Constitution, you know, the Constitution we're using right now is the 1999 Constitution. And that Constitution was actually crafted by the military. And it was crafted in a way that actually gave the military some advantage. And maybe they were hoping that the military was going to come or something. So the Constitution is not perfect. But within the framework of what we have right now, we have enough to work with. But the issue of how many ministers the new president wants to appoint, I think they have to sit down on it. So we are so lucky we have a vice president who is a son, senior advocate of Nigeria, and a professor of law.
Yeah.
I think they are going to consider the nitty-gritty, the details, before they actually arrive at something. Maybe they work out something. But departing from that, somebody will point it out that he is already departing from the Constitution, and that's not the best way to start his administration.
Yeah,
but I agree with you that the Constitution is something we have to focus. You're talking about amendments. Yes, the American Constitution has existed now for close to just less than 250 years. And there have been some major amendments. The same thing can happen in our situation. If the president feels so strongly about it, maybe that could be one of the first things that he will sponsor a bill to the legislature and to the Senate and get it passed so that they can look at this more closely. And why do we need it right now? Because we are in an era of austerity. Once upon a time, General Gawan used to say Nigeria has so much money that, I mean, making problems, making money is not a problem, but spending it. But it's the opposite now. We have, we are in an era of austerity because the main product that we rely on to make money is oil. And oil is now selling at the international market for much less than $60 a barrel. So whether we like it or not, we have to cut down on our needs so that at least we can function with the little that we have. But if it is properly managed, we still have enough because Nigeria is a potentially great country.
In relation to the number of ministers per state, I think he has said something that I think that is where they are going to. The law, every law has a loophole. He said it's not, if they have, what do we call this, assistant minister.
Minister of State.
A minister of state. If they have minister of state in a particular state, that minister of state will be in the executive meeting. So it makes up for the ministerial position. The austerity we have now, there is no reason why it should not pull down the ministerial position. A lot of the ministries should be merged so that we can have, my own suggestion is to have 18 ministers, one minister representing geopolitical. So that would be 18. That's the most appropriate thing to do.
Geopolitical, but we have 6.
No, we're three people
per zone,
per geopolitical,
per zone, okay.
And 6. 3 times 6 is 18.
Okay.
And that will cut a lot of
to reduce the expenditure,
to reduce the overhead. The other piece is the cost of running government. He has to do that within 30 days.
It's prohibitive.
He has to, if he doesn't do that, we are going nowhere. Where a senator in Nigeria is making more than Obama, and #1 civil servant in the world. And that's ridiculous.
All right, we will take a break. When we come back, we do more analysis of the speech that the president made, and we also talk about what is going to happen to the people that left office, to probe or not to probe. There's a debate going on whether they should be probed, and the president said today that there will be no paying off of old scores. So we're going to discuss that, but we're going to take a break, and then we will be right back.